what we're going to do is have a very special introduction by none other than the historian of the NAACP, Dr. Amos Brown.
Thank you very much, Madam Vice Chair. To our chairperson of our National Board, Brother Leon Russell. To our President and Chief Executive Officer, Brother Derek Johnson. To all the members of our national staff, executive committee members of the National Board, board members, and to all of you, my NAACP fighters, good evening. I borrow the words of my son in the ministry, the Reverend Dr. Frederick Douglass Haynes, who dumped the house at the breakfast this morning with that masterful message that he delivered. But he said one day on an occasion, I am hyena happy, peacock proud, and elephant elated. I feel the same this evening, for this is a fateful evening, and I have been assigned the task to introduce and present a brother of another mother, a brother of another faith tradition. Though he comes from a different period, a different faith tradition, and of a different race, but there's a commonality that we both embrace. For our next speaker has had, unfortunately, in this nation, that common evil, mean reality of oppression coming from people who claim to be religious, who claim to be Americans in one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. His heritage mirrors a people who were persecuted because of their faith tradition. In the NAACP and as a son of Africa, we can all and daughter say, we are oppressed because of this ethnic visibility, the blackness of our skin. However, we should applaud President Johnson, Chairman Russell, who responded to this brother and his faith community when they had the courage to say, we have unfortunately been complicit in that evil of racism in this nation. But unlike certain persons in America, we are humble enough to say that we are sorry, we're going to change our ways, and we're going to do a new thing. We're going to sing a new song, talk a new talk, walk a new walk, and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, under the leadership of President Russell Nelson, are here tonight to say to the NAACP, we're going to join and lock arms with you as we fight racism, anti-Semitism, homophobia, xenophobia, and all of those phobias and isms that separate and divide the human family, that we might be one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And when I think of President Russell, who by profession is a heart surgeon, and this September the 6th in Salt Lake City, I will have the privilege of being there when he will celebrate his 96th birthday. But this heart surgeon has moved from doing bypass surgery, moved from making hearts brand new, and he's joined us to do a heart transplant for America, that we will truly get back to being a nation that will be a light to the nation and the world. And I feel that he is the epitome of the words of Malcolm, Edwin Malcolm, who said he drew a circle that shut me out, a heretic, a rebel, a thing to flaunt. But love and I had the wit to win. We drew a circle and took them in. Let us welcome now President Russell Nelson of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, President of the First Presidency, who will widen the circle and take us all in with a united front, marching on to a better day in religious activity in the United States of America.
Good evening. My dear friends, I am humbled by the invitation to be with you tonight. For more than a century, the NAACP has been devoted to improving lives and elevating society. You have done much to protect and lift countless individuals. Your lofty ideals are indeed inspiring. Last year, leaders of the NAACP, led by Chairman Leon Russell, and members of the National Board came to Salt Lake City. My two counselors and I, the First Presidency of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, had the privilege of meeting with them. Our time together was marked by a feeling of mutual respect and a desire to link arms to see if we could capitalize on our respective strengths and help more people by working together. At a press conference following that meeting, I explained that a fundamental doctrine and heartfelt conviction of our religion is that all people are God's children. We truly believe that we are brothers and sisters, all part of the same divine family. At that same press conference, President Derek Johnson and I issued a joint invitation for all people, organizations, and government units to work with greater civility, to eliminate prejudice of all kinds, and focus on important interests that we have in common. Simply stated, we strive to build bridges of cooperation rather than walls of segregation. As recorded in the Book of Mormon, which we esteem as scriptural companion to the Holy Bible, the Savior invites all to come unto him and partake of his goodness, and he denies none that come unto him, black and white, bond and free, male and female, all are alike unto God. May I repeat that last phrase, all are alike unto God. You who are gathered in this room, strive to make this heavenly truth an earthly reality. I commend you for it. And yet we all realize that as a society and as a country, we have not yet achieved the harmony and mutual respect that would allow every man and woman and every boy and girl to become the very best version of themselves. The cure for what ails us was prescribed by the master healer, Jesus the Christ. When the taunting Pharisee challenged him to identify the greatest commandment in the law, the Savior's response was most memorable and brief. It was filled with truth that leads to a joyful life. His instruction was first to love God with all our hearts, and then to love our neighbor as ourselves. Your President, Derek Johnson, recently demonstrated that second great commandment while receiving a public service award on behalf of the NAACP. It was presented by Brigham Young University's Management Society. President Johnson acknowledged that he had been asked why he would accept an award from members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. His response, because it's our neighbor. That was a profound response. We are all connected, and we have a God-given responsibility to help make life better for those around us. We don't have to be alike or look alike to have love for each other. We don't even have to agree with each other to love each other. If we have any hope of reclaiming the goodwill and sense of humanity for which we yearn, it must begin with each of us, one person at a time. I have watched the influence of just such a person in my hometown of Salt Lake City, Utah. The Reverend France Davis, pastor of the Calvary Missionary Baptist Church for 45 years, has devoted his life to the ministry. Active in civil rights movement, he participated in the March on Washington, D.C. in 1963 and the Selma to Montgomery March in 1965. His quiet dignity and tireless advocacy for unity have greatly enriched the fabric of our community. Many years ago, I had the privilege of hosting Reverend Davis at a performance of the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square. Now, we are quite proud of the Tabernacle Choir, which has been recognized literally the world over. When the concert ended, I asked Reverend Davis what he thought of the program. It was very good, he said, graciously, but it was lacking in spirit. He said, if you want to experience spirit in music, you come to my church. So my wife and I did just that. And he was right. The energy in the Calvary Baptist Church Choir was something to behold. Well, while our taste in music might differ, I must say that he and his church have enhanced our city in a most tangible way. True community begins with just such relationships, with loving our neighbor and honoring and serving each other. This is the spirit behind the cooperation shared now by the NAACP and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. As you may know, the relationship between the NAACP and the Church did not begin with meetings last year in Salt Lake City. A year earlier, Derek Johnson met with my ecclesiastical colleague, Elder Jeffrey R. Holland of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles. They were in Jackson, Mississippi, visiting the home of the martyred civil rights hero, Medgar Evers. Medgar Evers is a true patriot. He died in the cause of freedom. President Johnson and Elder Holland stood and spoke together in the NAACP office, housed in the building where Evers once worked as an NAACP field officer. After that initial visit in Mississippi, a plan took shape to refurbish the Medgar Evers office in order to preserve further his important legacy. Soon, local members of the NAACP were working with members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints to redo the walls, lay new carpet, and make other enhancements. In 1963, after Medgar Evers' death, mourners eulogized him with these words from 1 John 4:20, quote, "If a man boasts of loving God while he hates his own brother, he is a liar. He has seen his brother and has no love for him. What love can he have for the God he has never seen?" Close quote. This first great commandment, to love God, is inexorably yoked to the second great commandment, to love our neighbor. Together we can extend this love to all God's children, our fellow brothers and sisters. As president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I pray that we may increasingly call each other dear friends. May we go forward doing our best to exemplify those two great commandments, to love God and to love our neighbors, to love each of God's children, arm in arm and shoulder to shoulder. May we strive to lift our brothers and sisters everywhere, in every way we can. This world will never be the same. My dear friends, I thank you. May God bless you, one and all.